Hi everyone, my name is Lydia and this is what I wish they taught me about econometrics and introduction. In the previous videos, we've derived a formula, so now let's make it more concrete. We'll work through a numerical example and interpret every coefficient in the interaction model with two dummy variables. So let's set up the environment, what we're going to be working with. We have the usual D1 being equal to 1 if you are employed, and D2 being equal to 1 if you are trained, Y being your monthly income, let's say, and the estimated model is going to be Y hat being equal to 1000 plus 200 D1 plus 150 D2 plus 100 D1 times D2. Okay? Before we compute anything, ask yourself, what do you expect to get out of this estimation model? Will training matter more for employed or unemployed individuals? Keep that question in mind as we work throughout the numbers in this video. So let's compute all four group means, okay? And you can also keep the other video parallel to this one so that you can remember all of the cases and how we basically create the matrix. So remember case 1, we're going to have D1 equals to 0, D2 equals to 0. And for this particular case, it's very clear to see that our Y hat is simply going to be 1000. Now, I'm going to add one extra element in here since in the previous video, we added a little bit of new notation. So I'm going to add here 0, 0. Okay. Now, case 2. Let's assume D1 is equal to 1 while D2 is equal to 0. We can clearly see that your Y hat 10 is going to be 1000 plus the 200, 1200. Okay? Because in here, keep in mind, if D2 is equal to 0, it means this is 0 and also this is 0. Let's look at case 3, where we have D1 equals to 0 and D2 equals to 1. So this is Y hat 0, 1. Now in this case, it's D1 that's 0. So this is 0, and again, this is 0. So what you're left is just 1000 plus 150, which means 1500. 1150. And ultimately, case 4, where we've got D1 equals to 1 and D2 also equal to 1. So we've got Y hat 1, 1. This is going to be equal to 1000 plus 200 plus 150 plus another 100, which means I've got a total of 1450. Okay? So this is the visual for everything. If we wanted to add that nice matrix that we built in the previous video, we would have here D1 equals to 0, D1 equals to 1, D2 equals to 0, and D2 equals to 1. The numbers that we'd plug in here is 1000, 1200, 1150, and 1450. Okay? Now, let's compute the differences. Well, we can see that the effect of employment or when not trained, so again, I'm going to concentrate here in this column. So the difference of you being employed when you have no training, this difference is literally just 200. Okay? And then the effect of employment when you are trained is just the difference between these two numbers in this other column, and it's clearly just 300. So Notice very clearly in here when we do this effect of employment when not trained or when trained. When you are not trained, you have a 200 difference. When you are trained, instead, the difference in income is 300. So from here, we can sort of already see that employment has a bigger effect when training is present. Okay? So that's already telling us something about the beta 3. And how did we find the value of the beta 3? Remember, the beta 3 was the difference of the differences. So the difference between these two ultimately is just 100. And that's exactly your beta 3 hat. Okay? So the interaction term is telling you that training increases the effect of employment on income by 100, or equivalently, the effect of employment is 100 higher for trained individuals. So remember that symmetry. You can always flip it. You can also do the computations in a slightly different way. So if you looked at only unemployed people, and to see like what training does, you would see here the difference of 150. Then if you looked at the difference that employment brings to people, then you see the difference between the trained and untrained ones. The difference in here is just going to be 250. Then the difference between the two is again simply 100. So whichever way you want to take this from, the beta 3 is always going to be 100. Okay, so training has a larger impact for employed people, or employment has a larger impact for trained individuals. So interaction terms allow effect to differ across groups. Without the interaction, both effects would have been constant. And in this dummy-dummy model, the beta 3 has once again captured how the effect of one group changes across another group. In the next video, we move to a slightly more general case, and we'll see what happens when one variable is continuous and the other is a dummy. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.